That's all right. You came out of this meeting.
And then the London Association. Yeah. Tonight go to some studies and
Meeting folks, thanks for coming and attend the meeting. Would you all join us and rise and pledge allegiance?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome to the Board of Supervisors meeting for January
Thanks.
16th, 2009, I believe.
19.
So I'll open by offering the opportunity for public comments on the agenda items as presented.
Yeah, Cliff Cole, Two Craft Road. You had mentioned at the last meeting that you were going to give us a report on meeting with the folks from Adelphi Pike Company. You said you had told me that yourself.
Yeah.
That you were going to meet with them. I'm surprised to not see that on the agenda.
Yeah, and Greg, it was set up originally, Greg was a communicator with him, and he has spent a week and a half attempting to get them to respond. And we had a meeting with them back in late December, early January, and they said that they would meet with us sometime before the middle of January. The meeting we had with them, from my perspective, and I think the other members of the committee would agree, was not very informative. We learned a number of things. One most significant in my mind is in the process of discussing this, because we were supposed to be discussing fire protection, emergency, so forth. And we did not spend much time on that. We did talk a little bit about it. However, we generated into other questions, and I asked them, do they have any other stations? And he said, no. I said, have you ever built one? And the answer was no. So with that, it created a alert, more of a alert than we probably had in the past. We've been getting all kinds of propaganda pieces, little bits and pieces from them, and some from FERC, but we still don't have a good definition of what this is. We've been trying to get to some of the other stations that do exist, and I think there's over 1,000 of them in the U.S., and we've not been successful in accomplishing that. Talked about it, tried to plan something, and it has not worked. So it's still quite secretive. We have been discussing and trying to look at developing an ordinance. We haven't legally developed how that could be effective and affect this particular activity. They've been pretty adamant in kind of casual words that they're not going to comply with our ordinances. And that's an issue that we have to deal with legally.
Well, can there be a legal challenge to this? Isn't that
There can.
the job of this
There can.
council?
And we have to assess what all that involves. Yes, Jane?
To answer the question specifically, can there be a legal challenge? As we've said at many meetings, we've attained party status, we get copies of all the documents, we provide feedback frequently. At the end of the day, we don't make the decision, and we don't have the ability to appeal the decision unless we can show that they have violated a federal regulation, and at this point, not complying with our ordinances is not a requirement of the federal regulations. If it was
Can't
a
have the
state,
challenge. I mean, that doesn't make any sense at all.
I'm sorry, what?
That doesn't, why can't that alone be challenged? That we have no ability to challenge? I mean, that doesn't make any sense to me. You say that we have no right to challenge that they can overtake our ordinances. I can't believe that there can't be a way to legally challenge this in some way.
You asked a whole lot of questions in there, and so I'm hesitating because I'm trying to decide which one to answer. And do we want to, this is not public comment on a confirmed appointment. Do you want to continue with this now, or do you want to wait till later in the meeting? It's up to you.
I think we should wait, but please, we understand everybody's concern. And I urge everybody, take a pen and pencil and write to the governor, write to the representatives.
Well, I have.
Yeah, okay, so not everybody has joined in on your program.
There's nothing more effective in a situation like this than communication from state and federal elected officials. When the state is doing a project, the law states that they have to file our ordinances. When the federal government is doing a project, they are the sovereign and they do not follow our local ordinances. I don't know what to tell you other than that, but as we said, this is probably more appropriate under public comment at the end of the meeting, not on agenda items.
Okay, well, I apologize. I thought that there was an agenda item from the last meeting where it was discussed.
What's your name again, sir?
Cliff Cole.
Thank you.
I can assure you, it's very frustrating. We have some very good qualified technical people in this small committee, and they're, I think, equally justified in not being able to get any indication. We've asked them time and time again for the plans. What does this thing look like? And in the process of discussion, I asked them, what's the cost of this plan? How much is it going to cost to build it? And you're going to build it on an acre and a half. So in there lies things that don't agree. They said $200 million. Now, whether that's not accurate or not, but that's what they said. And there are people in this room that could confirm that. We're in that meeting. We had fire company members, we had our committee, Greg was there, and we had an hour and a half meeting, and actually from my perspective, we didn't get anywhere. But we did, we learned. They've never had one before, never ran one before. And that's a very scary picture to me. And so it's like giving your 12-year-old son the keys to the car. Yes, ma'am.
My name's Pamela West. Who's holding them accountable for the off-gassing of the methane and the noise levels that they have said they're gonna be within certain levels on both of those counts? And who's gonna be monitoring them, and how's that gonna be, how are they gonna be held accountable if they go over those?
Thank you for your questions, and they're the same questions we're asking them, and we're not getting any answers. Now, they keep saying they're gonna meet with us, and I mean, you ain't new the last couple of days.
Those were some of the questions I asked in the public meeting that we had down at the elementary school, and actually that got incorporated into the letter that we sent to PED. Was it? Yes. So we haven't heard anything back on that matter yet. So we have asked those questions, but we're not getting answers.
So isn't there obscurity a legal problem?
Well, my perspective on it is that they're hiding under the umbrella of FERC. And FERC is part of the federal government. Part of the federal government is the utilization of the resources that Pennsylvania has in the form of natural gas. And when it all comes down to it, it's about money and control and power. And they will not admit it. But it's my view that that pipeline and that kind of investment is is going further than Philadelphia, supply a couple of companies. It's headed for Europe, in my opinion, because they're gonna use that as a counter to the issues they're having with Germany and the oil pipeline that Russia is pumping into Germany. They won't admit that. That's a different subject at a different level, but that's my view as a tie-in. I've been in all those places, so seen them work. It's very frustrating. Most frustrating thing is that we don't have any answers to give you. We don't have any answers ourselves. We have some little bits and pieces, but they are programmed to divert.
Right.
And I would say, would you agree, Greg, that that's what we had at that meeting, a diversion?
I would say it was very uninformative.
Same thing. That's it. So unfortunately, we continue the battle, and we think maybe we're gonna be lucky enough to get a meeting scheduled with them. The people that we met with they were nice people, very enjoyable and good conversation, but they're not relating any details. They did get a young engineer, say that because of the sound of his voice, and they talked a little bit about some of the pieces, and he's the one that knew what the approximate cost of the station was. They didn't have any idea, and they're supposed to be representatives of this company to the public. They will talk to anybody individually. They will not talk to a group in public. What DEP did, they did from DEP at that meeting. In fact, I heard feedback that the day of the meeting, DEP called and wanted to cancel it. So that's where we are. Whole story, but hang with us, we're
So
fighting for it.
we live a mile from the site, and we never got any notice from Adelphi or anything that this was going.
I had one last comment. I had a brief conversation with Brian Fitzpatrick, and he's working on put together a meeting to come to this area and have a discussion on this subject. Because he and Craig Stats have both written letters together, one letter, denying and urging it be replaced and located someplace else.
Keep going.
Yeah. We don't know the timing, it's sometime between now and the end of January and early February. So. Okay, we need to move on.
Thank you. Good idea.
Thank you. Hello?
Announcements, we will have an executive session following this evening's meeting on some real estate and personnel matters. Under the consent agenda, they're all listed on the program. Does anyone have any specific questions about those items, board or others?
I do not. I do not either.
Okay,
Make a motion for approval?
A second.
motion made with second, all in favor?
Aye.
Comprehensive plan. This evening we're going to present the comprehensive plan, which has been created over the last year and a half by a group of 5 people and 1 resident, and working with people on Bucks County Planning Commission. And Mike Rodick, who some of you may remember, he worked with us on the initial one we did back in 2005.
2005, yeah.
And so I'm going to turn it over to Mike, and I think he's going to give you an overview of it. We will put the schedule order, we had to delay it into 2019. We're probably going to put it out for advertiser and then final approval in February.
Okay. All right, great. Yeah, so I'm going to hand out a draft, just sort of pass around. It's going to say 2018 on it. Obviously, the draft came out in 2018, but now we're in 2019. I think it's going to be the 2019 comprehensive plan. I'm just going to pass this around. Anybody wants to take a quick look at it? You want further details on the comprehensive plan? You want to really read into it? It is available on the township website. You can peruse it at your leisure there. So, you know, please take a look and hopefully you get a little bit better idea of what the township has planned for the coming years. Judy, can you move the slide? So, I guess the first question we want to ask ourselves is, what is a comprehensive plan? A comprehensive plan is a municipality's main policy document that details the collective vision for the future, historic, environmental, cultural resources, cultural facilities it seeks to protect, and the steps necessary to achieve this vision. Comprehensive plans aid officials in land use planning and decision making. As Don had mentioned, back in 2005, the township did a comprehensive plan. This is intended as an update to that comprehensive plan. The municipality's planning code requires municipalities to update their comprehensive plans every 10 years, and so this update of the comprehensive plan is designed to make sure that they're in keeping the township in keeping with that MPC requirement. So one of the most important things about a comprehensive plan is establishing a community vision. That vision is designed to set out a future ideal for the township to achieve in terms of what it wants to see the township look like in the future, and sort of the overall policies, the overall policy direction that we'd like to go into. The community vision that we established was based on the information, the background information collected in the comprehensive plan, the discussion of the comprehensive plan group, and the results of the survey that we sent out to every family in the township. So this community vision is generally divided amongst those plan elements that you would see in the comprehensive plan. So we have our natural resource vision, our agriculture vision, housing, non-residential development and economic characteristics, community facilities and services, parks and recreation, farmland and open space, historical and cultural resources, transportation and circulation, water and sewer, future land use and growth management. Really, that's kind of like the critical chapter, that sort of ideal or that vision for land use that the township would like to achieve in the future. And we also have a sustainability element. So those are the elements of the comprehensive plan and that collective vision. So I just talked about the survey a little bit. One of the most important parts of this comprehensive plan was that survey was sent out to every single family in West Rockville Township. We sent out 2,100 surveys. Over 750 were completed and returned. So it's a very good return rate. The survey included multiple choice questions, rating scale questions, and also allowed space for public comments. The purpose of the questions was to gauge the general feelings about the township and its future. This is just sort of two of the questions that we asked in the survey, and I specifically wanted to focus in on that question number 3. Where you live in the township. What we thought it might be interesting to do is sort of divide the township into 3 different areas, and obviously collect our survey questions from those 3 different areas, and to see if there was any differences amongst the opinions of people who live in various areas of the township. And what we found was generally people agreed on almost all the questions. There really was no variation in the way they answered questions depending upon where they lived in the township. So we found that to be pretty interesting. This is just sort of an example of one of the questions that was asked in that survey. It asked what characteristics of West Rockville are most important to protect. And as you can imagine, most people chose answers like scenic beauty, low crime, and public safety. Also, small town character and low taxes. So I can imagine all of you are sitting there thinking, yeah, those are generally that's generally the way I would have answered that question as well. All right, community background. one of the things a comprehensive plan tries to do is collect information about the community that the plan is trying to develop a future vision for. So it's real important that you look at things like demographics, you look at the natural resources, the non-residential development or in economic development, transportation, infrastructure issues. You want to look at all those background issues, and you want to develop a plan for those different elements. And that also helps you get that sort of overall vision for how you see your community developing in the future. All right, Judy. So one of the first chapters that we have in the plan is on demographics. Generally, it paints a picture of an older working class community. The township's population and housing totals reflects its status as a rural community. Okay. If you look at, this is just sort of a comparison between West Rockville Township and Bucks County. You look at the median age, this is from the 2010 census. The median age for West Rockville Township is 47 and a half years old, whereas for Bucks County as a whole, it's 43 years. Looking at average household size, 2.38 people per household versus 2.63. Median household income, $66,000 for yearly household income versus $79,000. And then for bachelor's degree, you look at among residents who are 25 years and older, the percentage of people who earn a bachelor's degree or higher, 26.5% versus 38% for Bucks County as a whole. So these are three statistics that you can just sort of look at this township profile and say, yeah, that generally points the picture or paints a picture, I should say, of an older community that is probably a little bit more working class, and because generally older folks have their children have left their house, so you're going to have lower, so they're going to be older, they're going to bring up that median age, it's going to be a smaller household, and their income isn't going to be as high. Another plan element is land use. Land use is just basically the use for which, what land is used for. And this is a map that you're going to see in the comprehensive plan. It's sort of, you can see sort of that patchwork there. It's kind of hard to see with all those various colors, but you can see where development is generally concentrated, sort of in that south portion of the township, where you see those sort of reds and purples down there along the state road. And you can also see smaller parcels down there. So our reds and purples, our reds are commercial land use, our purple is industrial land use, our yellows are single-family residential land use. Green is parks and recreation, as you might imagine. That light purple is vacant land, and blue is government institutional land use. So it just gives you sort of a general picture of how land is used in the township. Another important plan element is natural resources. This plan identifies the various natural resources that are in the township. This particular map shows the watersheds of the township. There are three main watersheds: Unanimity Creek, the Hicken Creek, and the East Branch Perkiomen watersheds. These are our three main watersheds. So generally, what a watershed is most of you probably know, is how water drains through an area. And these are certainly important planning units when it comes to looking at the natural resources of any community. The chapter also looks at things like woodlands and steep slopes. It looks at floodplains. It looks at streams. It looks at topography and geology. All those basic natural resource units that make up the natural resources of West Rockville Township. The chapter also talks a lot about the various ordinances that protect these natural resources in the township. and looks at issues like invasive species as well. Historic and scenic resources. Historic and scenic resources are really important to the identity of West Rock Hill Township. You can see a number of readily identifiable historic resources. I think that's one of the twin churches up there. That's the Campbell Meeting House, or Highland Park, that's it, Highland Park historic resource. And right below that is the Zimba property, I believe, with the historic home there. The township has a number of historic resources that are really important to its identity. A number of years ago, actually it wasn't too long ago, maybe back in 2010 I want to say, the Heritage Conservancy conducted a historic resource survey of the township, and they found over 285 historic resources that were of value in the township. And among those resources, I think they found over, I want to say like 56 or something like that, of those resources were what they call a priority number one resource, most deserving of protection. And some of those resources they felt were eligible for preservation on the National Register, or listing on the National Register. Another important resource to the identity of West Rock Hill Township is open space and agricultural resources. This map here shows all the various types of preserved properties in West Rock Hill Township. I know it's kind of difficult to read, but some of these resources are parks, some are preserved farmland, some are state game lands, some I think are Act 319 properties, and some are like ag security areas. But it shows you the wealth and diversity of open space and park and recreational resources that the township has. It's something obviously that residents do value. This is a trail and greenway plan that came out of the 2010 Park and Recreation and Trails plan. This is really, I think, conceptual at this point, but I think this is something that the township is really looking to implement in future years. The county, I know, has a number of initiatives to develop trails throughout Bucks County, connecting various municipalities, and other municipalities have engaged in their own trail development program. And I think that I know that the township would like to start to implement this particular program to connect those many open space resources that we just talked about through trails, through on-road connections, and through greenways. And this would allow people to take advantage of those open space resources that are throughout the township, and also provide them with an opportunity for recreation, an opportunity to make those connections without actually having or walking along those connections or biking along those connections without having to be on the road. Transportation and circulation, another really important plan element. Transportation transportation infrastructure is vitally important for the ability for people to get to jobs, to get to housing, and for the movement of goods and services. It has a big effect on the environment, has a big effect on the economy, and it has a big effect on people's quality of life. This is a chapter we had a number of recommendations to improve that circulation, improve that movement of people and the movement of goods. But at the same time, we want to protect that rural character that residents so value in West Rock Hill Township. All right, future land use and implementation. So a future land use is really what your land use policy is for for the coming years. It's how you see the township or your community developing and growing. We had three basic land use categories. There in the green are areas that we want to protect. Those areas out that are away from infrastructure, areas along the East Branch, Perkiomen, and the Creek. We want to protect these areas. These are our critical resource areas. So we want to encourage uses that are more in keeping with that rural environment, open space uses, low density residential development. Areas in brown are areas where we have infrastructure and we kind of see the township growing and developing, providing for higher density residential uses, providing for commercial development, industrial development, providing those job opportunities, those economic opportunities. And that blue area, is our rural holding area. This is areas that could potentially, the township could potentially expand that infrastructure into in the coming years, should there be a need for it. And that's just kind of we call it a rural holding area. It's should that growth explode in the township, that's the areas that we want to concentrate development. Right now, I don't think, given recent population trends, I can't anticipate that, just because growth has been generally pretty low here in the township and in Bucks County in general. But at the same time, the township wants to show that they are planning for this to make sure that they are in keeping with applicable case law. Okay, go ahead. All right, so back in 2005, we took we had a number of recommendations to improve the township's growth management and improve the I should say, not improve the growth management, to address its growth management issues and address some of the issues that were outstanding with the existing plans and ordinances that it had. So we laid out a number of recommendations, and we took, the township in the intervening years has taken actions to improve or to update those ordinances and plans. So since 2005, the township has developed a new zoning ordinance, a new subdivision and land development ordinance, new Act 537 plan, that's your sewage facilities plan, an online disposal system management program, a new stormwater management ordinance, a park and recreation and open space plan. There's been over 2,000 acres of preserved open space that the township's achieved. They also developed a village master plan for Almont, which was not adopted but still contains a number of